All right. Good morning, everyone. Once again. So far so good. We've been on this journey and started from understanding React. Why is it popular? Went on to looking at components, looking at prop types, looking at um. We stepped into React hooks. We looked at use states, use it to update your states. We looked at use effects. So that was the last thing that we did. And all of this, we recall that use states, use effects, these are React hooks. And we said that React hooks, you get them from that they are used to perform a specific task. They are functions from React. Okay, sorry about that lag. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys
Yeah,
hear me? Okay. All right.
yes,
All right.
yes.
Okay, I had to. Yeah. Okay, so use state, use effects, they're from React and they are functions. So you use them to perform specific tasks. And then we said that use state, you use it for updating your state. And then use effects, we use it for the side effects. And side effects has to do with like when you're doing things that have to go outside your component, when you're doing things like fetching data, when you're handling things like using event listeners and those type of actions. So we also went on to play around with use effects, and we saw that use effect is always triggered on every render. So we learned about the dependency array, where whatever you want to watch the change, you have to pass it inside the dependency array here. And then if you want something to really run on first render, you have to do an empty array here. So in any case, if you do this and then if you put a value, so that means whenever this value changes, but it will also observe the um first render issue. But then if this value changes, it will still run this use effect again. We looked at using conditionals inside use effects. Said you don't do the conditional outside it and call the use effect inside it. You do the conditional inside it. Then we also went on to look at using use effects when you use the resize event listener. And then we said, okay, when you are adjusting the size of if you have that, so when you're adjusting the size of your window, okay, so this is my screen size. So I inspect. Okay, so I inspect and I want to be resizing this window. So this is 4:6. If I do this, I'm able to adjust this. And then when we check, there's a whole lot of states. We've not even talked about all these things here. There's a whole lot of states. Um, check elements, you check event listener, go down to resize. see that this use effect is only called once. So even though I keep adjusting, so this only happens once. And the reason is because we have this what do they call it? We have this cleanup function here where first of all you add, then the remove the event listener. So we use that. Then we also learned that you can use multiple use effects. So you're not just restricted to just one, and then you have to pack everything inside. No. So you can use multiple use effects. Then we went on to try fetching data, where you have your URL, you do the whole async and await, and then you get users update your state. You call the use effect here. So this happens on first render. So after fetching the data the first time, you store it in state, and no matter it doesn't refetch again. Even if other values on your page keep changing, it doesn't fetch again. So fast, there is nothing passed inside this. So you just have an empty array, and then it just fetches once, and that's all. So we looked at it, and then we're able to display our users after from, yeah, fetching them from the API. So that was what we did. That was what we did the last time. So today, what we are going to do is we are going to move to conditionals. We are going to try out conditionals. How do you set up conditionals? Okay, so remember that what we are dealing with here is we're dealing with functions. We're working with functions. So you can easily pass in conditionals and it will show up the necessary whatever you want to show up. So let's just demonstrate that. So I am going to, let me see. Yes, I have my book list. So inside my book list, I'm just going to say, I'm just going to say, I'm going to set a state. I'm just going to say const, let's say is loading. So we have a loading state. Let's say when we are fetching data. And then you now have the convention sets capital S is capital I rather, it's loading. And then remember, use state can take anything, any data type. So we are going with, let's say false. So, so we have this. Okay, so we have this, and then we want to show, let's say, let me go down here. Okay, so then we got this return statement. So I'll just say if now, when you're dealing with conditionals, I think if you're using an if statement and then you leave this blank, your if statement is not going to ever run. Can somebody tell me why? Why won't this work? Already, already thrown this here. Eh, okay, so no params. No, well, it's looking for is looking for what this if statement is going to return. There has to be a condition met for this to run. So when that condition is not met, this won't run. This won't run. So I'm just going to do if is loading. Remember, it's a boolean. So we are saying if it's loading. So let me see, does this update? Okay, yeah. So if it's loading, we want to console log hello. Now let's see if that will give us anything. I have a whole lot of console logs here. I think I should just comment them out. Just a moment. All right, so let's see again. Hmm. If- yeah, where am I calling that? I have this really here, oh, here and there. Okay, so sorry that you had to go through all of that with me. Okay, so let's just work with that like that. So at the moment, we cannot see, we are not seeing any hello here. And that, the reason is just that is loading is false. That was what we set it up here. False. So let's try this now. So if I do this, not is loading, what do I get? I get hello. So remember the not this thing. So this is the opposite of is loading. And then we're able to get this information here. So this is able to run. So the same principle is just it's still JavaScript, the same way it works in JavaScript. That's how we are going to, that's how it works here. Now, well, while this is all good, this is React. So let's say for instance, we want to do the whole return because most often than not, you're returning something. So let's say return, and then I want to return, let's say H3. Okay, I'll just say loading. So if it's loading, show this. Uh, okay, so let's see this else. Else, sorry. So I want to just return another H4 again. Okay. Unreachable. Okay. So in actual sense, when you're dealing with when you're dealing with what do they call it? When you're dealing with return statements, you know that when you have a return, it gets to like block out the other every other code here. So because of this return now, our code here has been is completely shut off. So the way you can actually do it is just work with just the if, no else. So let's say, for instance, I run this code, I save, and I go to my browser, I check, okay, I'm supposed to, okay, hmm, okay, so loading. Let's confirm something now. Let me do not is loading and see where this guy is going to come in. Let's see if, okay, so to see what happens now, because we're using the loading. So loading says that, okay, if it's loading, just remove this other code, show this particular one. So if you're using if, that's why I think that's the main reason why you can't even use the else, if else kind of this thing. Because if it is this one, this other code won't show up. So like you can see, it's only loading that we have on our screen here. It's only loading that we have on our screen here. So the other code has been cleared out. So in any case, we're going to see how to use this. So remember that when you're doing your return, it doesn't have to be only cannot it does not have to be only what do they call it? Using a H tag and all of that. You can pass divs and many other things. Okay. So let's go on. So that is one way of using your if your conditionals. So you can use conditionals in that manner. Um, if you don't do it this way, so let's try and apply this conditional using this conditional in our in while we are fetching data now. Remember, we already had we already had this fetch happen here. So normally when you're using normal JavaScript, what you normally do is, let's say you needed your loader to load. So you kind of do the is loading here. So you can just say set is loading. Remember, we are just playing around with states. So initially, when this is called, you want loading. So you want loading to, let's think about it. So you want loading to be true. So you want to show, let's say you want to show a spinner or something. You want loading to be true at this point. And then you, after you've gotten the user, you want to set is loading false. Remember. So this happens, but then let's say we want to display it on our page. So we can just say, I'm just going to create a div, and then I will just say, okay. So there is a sequence I'm trying to follow, and I think I'm keeping that sequence. So we've looked at where you have. We're going to talk about this, but let me just touch some specific things before we come to fetching. So let's try not to forget this part. So I'm just going to keep this code or when we get to this point. So we have different ways to use this conditional. I've showed us one of them is using this if statement. So the if statement picks the code and then displays it, disregards the other one. That's if you're using this, like if you're using it in a setup like this. So you can also return components instead of all of this. So I could have returned the components here instead of doing it the way I just did it. That's putting the code, putting the H3 and all of that inside here. I could have done it differently. So in that regard, so that's for that. We also have we have different ways of using this. We have you can use short circuiting. I'm going to talk about that. Then you also have using ternary operator. So I want to follow that sequence before we get to using it while fetching the API. So we understand what is happening. Now the thing with um thing with short circuit, let's start with short circuit. What does short circuit even mean? So such short circuit is more like show this if this condition is met, or show this other information if the condition is not met. So we're going to play around with it like that. So let's say we have, I'm just going to use, have I used text here? I have text. Let me just create another one. I'll just say, animal, then set animal. I do the whole use states and I leave it empty. So, okay, so we have animal, set animal, and then this is like this. So let's say, for instance, we want to use this in our code and we want to try it out. So I'm going to just come here, just below this guy. I'm creating another div where we've been lumping code here and there. This is like our board. So let's say we have a H4, and I don't know why I'm tied to H4 today. And then I have text. So short circuiting is when you have to play around with like okay, you guys will help me out here now. Where you have to use your and or, okay? So I'm saying if there is either text or you show, oh god, I'm not an animal, sorry. Okay, okay. So it's not supposed to be text, it's animal rather. Animal. So, so we are playing around with short circuiting. So we're saying this or this. Now the way this guy works is it comes when the code runs, it comes here, it comes to this animal, it sees this animal, it checks, do we have a value for this? Remember that empty string gives you a false. So if you have a false, so false or this one. So what do we think will display on our page? So we are trying to display if there is a value, or if there's a value, show this, or if there's no value, show this other one. What do we think will be our answer here? A. animal will show up. Is that your final answer? It's like who wants to be a millionaire? So the thing is, this is an empty string. So animal is an empty string, so it does not have a value. So it will fall back to this other guy. It will pick the value of this other guy. So let's see if that works. If I come down, come down, come down, I have to go down the group. So you see now, we have dog here. And let me just put a title so that we know what we are doing. Um, I'll just do a H1. And I'll just say short circuit. Okay. So we're trying. So you're saying if this thing does not have a value either. So if there's no value in this one, this should be a fallback for this. That's what short circuiting does. So it checks if this is empty. Let's say, for instance, you're trying to fetch. You're fetching people's names or people's profession, and then for some of them you have values, but then you get to this particular one, and then you don't want to show, and you don't want to leave it empty. So you kind of put like a default value. So if I don't have a value here, I show this other one. So you can say maybe not available or something else, so that that place is not, it doesn't look weird on your screen. So that's the reason why, yeah, that's the reason why it's called short circuiting. So you can use this, and you can use and like this, or you can, yeah, so you use it like this. So this is when you're using or. Another one is when you're using and. So let's see how that one goes. So let's say, hmm, so let's say we have, yeah, the whole loading thing. So I'm going to use loading here. So let's say loading, loading, is that what, like, is loading rather. So is loading. If we have is loading, we want to try this out. So you use double ampersand, if that's what it's called. And then you're like, okay, so you're returning something here. So I'm just going to use my favorite H4. I don't know why H4 is in my head, but, and then I'll just say loading. So if it's loading, okay, yes, that is actually, I should actually, okay, get my point. Sorry, this should be like this. This is what it's supposed to be. Okay, so the way this one works is more like this. So you have is loading. So this is returning this rather. So you're checking for this, and then you're returning this. So we are saying if it's loading, we want to show. So if it's loading, if this evaluates to true, only if this evaluates to true, then we can show this other one. So if we come on our screen now, and yeah, we come on our screen and we don't see anything here. And the reason is because, well, it's false. It's yeah, it's false. So if I do this, not is loading. Now see loading. So ultimately, these are the two ways you can play around with short circuiting. Now, so what it does is what you need to understand is when it is false, when it is false, it will, if you're using or, when it is false, it will display, it will display, if this does not have a value, it will fall back to this other guy. But if this has a value, so if we should put a value inside here, a default value where it's animal, and I say, well, fish, ultimately what will happen is when you come here, you now see fish shows up, and then the other dog is not, the dog is not, doesn't show up. So when you're using or, if there's a value from here, ultimately to pick this one. But if there's no value, it falls to the other one. And then when you're using and checks that whatever is coming here is true. If this is true, return this other guy. If this is false, this guy won't show up. So let's have that, let's have that at the back of our mind. Right? Let's understand that. So we can, this is how you can play around with short circuiting. So short circuiting just has to do with your or and your and then you're getting a value for it. Yeah. Okay. So Barry, yeah. What's your question?
Yeah, sorry, please, can you take the what the ant does again? Like, can you explain that one again?
Okay.
I
Yeah.
got that
So
for but yeah.
okay. So what happens with the and is the and always looks for truth, a truthy value. So this has to evaluate to true for it to be able to return whatever is here. That's the way the and works. So this has to be true for this one to show up. So if this is false, this won't show up. You're returning this. You can return more than this. You can return a whole lot. I don't know if this, I think this should work. It work. Well, my ESLint will help me out. Let me do a div. I want to know if, okay. Yeah, so you can return like this. You can return like a block of code. It works. You can return a component in this manner. It will work. So all you just need to know is if this is true, definitely this will run. If it's false, this guy won't show up. So it's for display actually. This, yeah. So I don't know if you got, if you understood that.
Yes, yes. Okay.
Okay, that's cool. So that is playing around with, that is playing around with short circuiting. So let me just do this anyway. But I know we get the gist. So it's possible that I just add a button, just add a button, and I just say toggle, let's say toggle loading. So I will just do okay, inside there on click. Well, I'll just do the regular. That's doing a reference. So I'll just do set. That's it. It is loading, has been crying up there since. So set. Okay, well, I think I use it. So set is loading. I'll just set it to the opposite of loading. So when you're toggling, I don't know what I'm called. When you're toggling, you want to switch between, yeah, the opposite of the actual value. So not is loading and is load. So this helps you to toggle this not this thing. Gives you the opposite. I'll just do this. I'll call class name. Class name is equals to btn, and I think that is good. So let's just use this. Well, so my loading, what did I do? Well, I have loading here. So remember on initial distance, it's not going to show up, but when I click on loading, it shows up. I click again, it goes up, click again. So you're able to toggle between true and false. So that helps you toggle the states. So I believe we understand that. Okay. So let's talk about ternary operator. So ternary operator, how does that work? So the way that works is okay. So the way that works is hmm, okay. So instead of using, so I'm just going to keep this one for our reference. So ternary operator, remember your JavaScript. You're like, okay, so I'm just going, let me just do it in a comment. That does not work here. Hmm. So the thing with ternary operator is that ternary operator kind of gives you two options. It gives you two possible options. Unlike this other one now, if there is nothing, nothing shows up. It leaves the screen empty. If there's something, something shows up. Now ternary operator gives you like a fallback if the other one doesn't work. So the way this happens is, well, in JavaScript, you'll be like, okay, let me see, let me adjust this. I hope that works. You'll be like, um, okay, so we have a condition. We'll just say, let's say is loading. So if is loading is true, you want it to take the first value. I am loading. So if it's true, yeah, you go, I am loading. If it's false, you say, I am not loading. I can spell loading. Okay, so this is what happens. So it's loading. So if this is true, if it takes this one, else it takes this other one. So that's the way it works in JavaScript. And it's not very different when you come to React. The only thing is you have to just put it inside. You have to you have to do this. What do they call it? So I will just say is loading, same way, and I will still do the question mark. I can return a component here. I will just copy, where is this guy? Okay, let me just do this for now first. And then this guy is expecting something else. I am not loading. Okay, so more like this is what it looks like. So you're returning this one when this is true. You're returning this other one when it is not true. Is if else now. Ternary operator is not if else. Ternary operator has to do it if and else. A condition has to be met for this to happen. If not, the other one happens. It's conditionals. That's what we are dealing with. Okay? Which we understand, right? Yeah. So that's the way it works. So let's try this out. So we have, you see now, because we are not loading, it says, I am not loading. But when we want it to load, let's say we click on this, you now see it changes to loading because that is true. So that's the way it works. So it's loading. Sorry about this. Let me remove this. Okay. So it's loading shows this, and I don't know why this terminal is actually open. So let me just close it. I have enough room, I think. So loading shows this, then I am not loading. So just understand it the same way your ternary operator works. That is fine. If I wanted to do another, to use it by, let's say, components, like in terms of components, what I could have done was I'll just create like, let's say, cons. So these things are just components I'm using inside here. I could just say cons my book equals to, remember, I think we've actually done using components from elsewhere. So I have my book and I can just return. So return this here. So I need to call this my book inside here. Is that what, why am I even calling it my book? I'll just call it loading. Call it loading already. So yeah, so since that is what it's doing, I come down here. Instead of returning just this, now I just say, well, loading. And it has to be this form. If I come here, I am not loading. If I click on this, loading still works as it is. So same way, you can return components, you can return anything. Okay, so, and it does not make, the component can come from your component folder. All you need to do is just import it inside here and use it. So that's how it works. That's the way it works. Um, so that. So that's the way ternary operator works. That's the way ternary operator works. So let's go back to um using what we've learned. Let's apply this in terms of, let's say we want to show that's our window size where you have to resize. So let's play around with it some more and see what happens. Remember we said when you're using, because it was on the same page, we didn't have to like display or hide it. There was we didn't have a problem when we just used the dependency array thing and then it worked out well. So you could resize it and then you don't have to use like what do they call it? You don't have to use the cleanup function to play around with that. But let's just see how it works. I'm going to just duplicate this button already, and I'll just say show on hide, show slash hide, and I'm going to just create states for that because I don't want to play around with this. Okay, let me try something. Use states. Okay, and I will just say Mhm. I'll set this to false. Okay, so I intend creating my component. So I will just do const, let me just call it item is equals to this. So just some function anyway. So inside here now, I want to return tab size here. So let me just return. I want to use is this guy? Yeah, this is what I want to just use. It's actually, I'm just doing a repetition here, but you get the gist. So I don't have size inside here. So I'm just going to do, this is a different component. So it's looking for its own state. So const, we just set size, set size. Inner width rather. Okay. Okay, so yeah, I have size, inner size, and well, we have this. So I want to use my, what do they call it? I want to use, I want to be able to display this. So I'm just going to use the whole short circuit method. So just above here, I will just call this, and I will say, what I just did was I just extracted this guy to the so long. So I just extracted this guy here. And I'm saying that, well, I'm using this, I'm just regulating this from here. So I'm saying that have size, have all of this inside here, and everybody's good. So I want to call this thing here, and I want to use short circuiting to display or hide it. So the way I can do that is I'm supposed to do show and hide here. Have I done that? I think I did. I did show. I'll just say show. If show, I will just say if show, I want to display this. I want to just call this item. So this is meant to toggle set show. Set show, and it's supposed to be the opposite of show. So always take note of what you are doing. So let's see if this works. Wow. Just push that button down. Okay, so let me just do it inside a div. Been using this div for like ages. So the div is tired of me. That's like one shoe that you use for like how many years? Okay, so mind me. So I just need some padding at the top. Okay, so I just need some padding at the top so that I can do this. So I click on this window resize, I click on this. So let's just inspect. So we get the gist. We get the gist. So when I click on this, this happens. If I click, it goes off. Yeah. and so on and so forth. Now, what I'm trying to, so we understand how this works. You can use your component, but then we have this problem. Did I do the whole use effects thing? Okay, so because it's size, okay, that size doesn't work. So we need to do the use effects. We need to do the use effect on it. So the use effect is basically going to be inside. So it's just almost the same thing. I'm only trying to buttress a point here. So I think I should also pick the check size too, because yeah, I'm doing it in another component. Okay, so I do have this. We have this. So let's go back to our code and see. So at this point, yeah, everything, life is so good. So let's see. So we go to elements and I go to event listener. Fine, what did I do here? I'm going to remove this other guy. And then let's see what happens. So let's say we want to confirm from the resize. Where's resize? I do this, I try to adjust. Okay, let me just resize. So because we do not have, because it's not, is there a resize thingy? Okay, so that's for this other one. Okay, I think we're having, okay. So something is struggling with, let me just comment this one inside here so that we can understand what is happening. I have conflicts. Goods. This was it. Did I call item here? I did. Okay, so let's try it out. Okay, so you see the whole, see what is happening. This is going on and on and on. So if I try to resize, if I do this, let me refresh. So the event lister, nothing is showing. Resize is not showing because, well, we've not we've not had to even resize. Even if I adjust it like this, we've not had to resize because that component is not showing here. But if I do this, this component comes on. It's all right. This okay for some very awkward reason. Okay, resize here. Okay, thank you. So for some very awkward reason, that was happening, Charlotte. I think that this is what I was supposed to have done. I was supposed to refresh here. So if I do this, well, it's not giving me the effect that I'm expecting. Okay, yeah. So when I adjust this screen, you see that we have multiple of this guy. So because this is going off, coming back on, I have multiple of it, multiple of it. I go off, come on, multiple of it. So, and this is actually, it's not the effect. it's not what we want. We don't want this. We say that this can cause a memory leak because yeah, you're just repeating and repeating yourself, repeating yourself. So for us to fix that. So if even if I add like a dependency array, I add a dependency array inside here. So I do like this and then put this here. I refresh. I still have this. So let me just attach this quickly. Then refresh this. So I resize. Well, I go off common again. Refresh this. Go off common again. So this is actually, this keeps coming in, this keeps coming in, this keeps coming in. Instead, this should have just been one. So if I had used this guy, I will just refresh this. Mhm. So, so no matter how many times I go off, come in, refresh again, that doesn't happen. Go off, come in, refresh. So this helps you to like manage your side effects. It helps you to like manage. Yeah. So I'm actually supposed to be like clearing most of them anyway. It's just that well, we make reference to them once in a while. So well, so we see the importance of having like cleanup function so that you don't have this, you don't have a memory leak where you have things rerunning and rerunning and running on it. That's the way this actually works. So then I think the other thing that we just need to talk about now is how do we use this in our states? How do we use what we've learned so far? How do we show it in how do we show it in what we have? Okay. So what we are going to do, we are going to do the loading, this loading state. So let's go back to this guy. So remember, we did this earlier on. So and then this happens, we have the set is loading. So first of all, when we are fetching, when the information has not come, the information has not come, this hasn't been called and all of that. We want to set is loading to true. Then after we've gotten the whole information stored in state, we want to set it to false. Then how do we display this? Where am I having this red line? This is the whole set size, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So we have that set is loading and then set loading to false. So different way, different distance, different strokes for different tones. So we come here. So this is the user distance. So let's say we want to display this. Now what we could do is yeah. So I have a div like I wanted to do earlier, and I'm like, okay, if is loading, you can return if it's loading, you can just return well, just return AH1. Ah, my goodness. I'll just say loading. Else, sorry, else should be this. I bring this other guy to up here. I'm supposed to return this. Okay. So, all right. Okay. So this is, I think I've done a whole lot of bracadabra here. Where is this supposed to be? Uh, okay. So let me just go back and retrace my steps. So, okay. So if it's this, I want to show a div, and inside it, I would like to show my array. So if it's loading, show this one. Else, show this other one. And as fast as this is actually going to be, so let me just go to the top. Yes, I know the journey is actually something else. I hope we'll even be able to see it as quickly as possible. So if I do this for a moment, for a split second, you see the loading this thing. So loading, and then when you get the information, automatically you replace it with this. So it happens very quickly. So that's why it's like that. So and then when this one comes up, the loading goes back to the false state, which is what we actually set it up to do. So after you've gotten this guy and you've set it and it's displaying, remove um set it back to a false state. So that's the way that this works. Okay. Okay, so set okay to delay. Yeah, so let's do this. Why am I even going to do that? So I'm just thinking. So before it fetches, so let's do this. So I'll just say set timeout, right? I don't know why this is always confusing for me. Timeout. So it takes this, then the number. So it's just a callback function, right? So let's say 8,000 seconds. Let me adjust this. I think it's covering it well. Okay. Okay. So I think it's because. Hmm, okay. So I think I want to walk around this. So what I'll do is just thinking of a way around this. Okay. So let's set timeouts. What I would like to do here is let me set it to rest. Then for initial render, let me think about this. How is it going to be? Okay, so we're trying to delay the loading. I think what me I'm even affect as for me, I'm trying to avoid this. Something like this possible. And that's a promise and a promise again, a promise. Yes. Okay. Hmm, interesting. Okay, so let me just do this. So as crude as it's going to be, I will just delay this. I'll just set timeout. I just do okay. So as crude as this is, ultimate, let's, let's just do the 3000. And I'll say, so if is loading, so if not is loading, then I think I would like to do this. Let's put this guy. Okay, so 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 that did not work. Well. Mhm. Okay, so I think the reverse is happening. So first of all, set is loading. If you, well, not very. You? Okay, so after. Okay, so I need to understand what is happening anyway. This all right. Oh, good you go. Come and explain what. Him explain. Let him come and explain it. I believe there's a way to do this. So, there's a way around this because I'm not getting it yet.
Yeah,
Is it?
can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Sorry. After the fed, I think you should like console the like create the for that con what's this thing? Cause that delay of the timeout, then cause an interval. That's like then set the delay to that. I don't know how to explain it. Sha. Set like when it's fetching the data, I should also delay it for certain amount of time. But I don't know. That's just what my head is telling me. I don't know if it will work.
Okay. Okay.
I'm
So
not.
let me
It's
see.
not an answer. Mubarak suppose help us. Now just question. Mubarak there
Okay.
they tell me I could not just. You know yourself now. Barry.
Okay. So let's see. Let's see. Hmm.
That should be get users. That thing should be get users, not fetch data. Is it not?
So
They
that
they,
means I need to do it
they
outside.
uh,
That's what you're
yes
saying.
outside. That's what I'm saying.
Ah, okay. Even let me confirm
Just,
this one.
just
Said this. Sure. Okay. There we go. Hmm. Okay, let me go there. I'll figure what that question is. So you're saying set interval. Let me just copy what it is. So am I even doing it inside this use state? Because I'll use effect constant. So I'm using reference function. All these means that we want to be. Okay. So well, if you do this now, then the interval ID, where are you going to call it? Let's see, like
just ignore my method. You know go work. Just ignore them. I did sure say this will not go work. Please.
I want I want to see what we'll
I
get at
doubt.
the end of
No,
eh?
I doubt if this will work. Oh.
Yeah. We're just going through one rabbit hole like that. But in any
I've done
case,
this
Sha,
I've done this
yeah,
thing before. Like I think I should go through one of my codes. I've done it before, but I can't just remember it. I
yeah,
just
there's actually
my
there should be
fault.
a way to delay it. There should be a way
Yes.
to delay it. It's just
I
that
think
it's
you use
not,
certain interval. Maybe in the dependency. In the
yeah,
dependencies when I think I remember 300 yeah, in the what did you call that dependency that you use dependency array. Think that
yeah,
I put set interval, then put the time, then put the fetch inside the set interval, then put the time in the dependency array like three whatever three
yeah.
thousand ms. How is network?
Yeah, so I think it's actually possible to delay it, but yeah, that's something that I'll need to check out and confirm. So, but using just this approach, we're able to see that this is how you set, and then this is how you clear it. And then within this, so just in case your network is like taking a while, so this shows up first. And then when this information is gotten, it now sets it back to false. So I think this is just the approach. So I'm going to just I'll check out how to stall this, how to delay this, like the right approach to delay it, and then display it. Yes, that is like your own. Is you even inducing it? Is you like trying to force it to stay longer than normal? Okay, then before running the other code, so I'll confirm it. I'll confirm it. It's just that I don't have it at the top of my head. So I think that is that. Um, so this is just a wrap up of conditionals. I don't know if anybody has any question. This is just conditionals. So does anybody have any question? Yeah, Barry.
Okay. Good morning. Good afternoon, everybody.
Yeah.
Since we're actually since we're actually working on conditionals now,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this brings me back to the question I asked, I think in our second class, about toggling a button.
The button.
Yeah, that will actually change. Sorry, toggling the color of a page with a button, change the
Yeah.
from a dark view to a light view. So I actually tried that with what's it called now? Um, with the short circuit, and that didn't work out properly. I've been trying to fix that didn't work. So since this actually a class for conditionals, I don't know if we can actually see actually work
Okay.
on that. I don't know. Like
Yes,
we
yes,
just
yes. I want to see you write that condition, like that short condition.
Short circuit. But okay. So the way you could go around it anyway, the way you could just go around it. So let me just do I did margin top. Let me just do a height. They mind them. They, okay. All right. So height. I'm just going to set height to like let's just say 400 pixels. Okay. So let me just move this button outside. Sha. So let's say there's a class and let's use, I think this should work where
Um,
I'll just, okay.
so you go to I
Yeah.
found how I figured out how I wrote that timeout work. So basically, you write the question that then the dependent check after the whole, then in that dependency I request. So instead of putting it
Okay.
like that,
Drop it here.
okay.
Okay. So Yeah, so I have this button and I just want to change color. Okay, so what I intend doing is I'm just going to as a I'm just going to create another state here. Unless I don't decorate states too much. Lights. So dark. No, set light. Yeah. Or I should have done the reverse. Let me just set dark. And it should have been dark. Well, as we keep climbing up, so false. So I'm just going to come here in the class. So this is, well, this is tailwind, so I'm just going to try and use that. So I'm going to say when it is dark, really getting this. Uh, ah, okay. Okay, sorry. Um, okay, so I have this dark. So I have, this is like me trying to pass this thing dynamically. So dark, let's say I have BG red. Like, how did they even do this class again? BG red 100. Let me do it on this thing. Oh, I don't have Tailwind installed here and I'm doing this. Okay, so instead of this, so let me just do a generic class. So I'll just say, so if it's dark, it should just show dark class here. Okay. Else, uh, else just leave it empty. More like something of this sort. So inside my app.css, I'm just going to do dark, and I'll just say background. I thought I was using Tailwind for a moment. Okay, so background, I'll just use Ash. Jesus. Okay, so let me see. Let's see if that works. If that might do. Okay, so I have this. If I do this, no work. Oh. Okay. Okay, yeah, my button is not, I'm not setting dark. Ah, so on click sets dark. not. Okay, so let's try this again. So I have this, have that. So I don't know if that answers your question of if it's feasible or it's not feasible. Yeah, Barry. Yeah, go on.
Okay, now instead of true or false, can we have the class in the use state? No, you actually created the CSS
Mhm. Yeah.
dot dark. Yeah. So
Yes.
can we have that class name in the in the use state
Instead, what
and
you
see if
would
that
do
works?
is you're toggling. Toggling is like true or false states. So what you're just doing, well, I don't think that method is actually efficient because what you're doing is you're supposed to be switching between backgrounds. If you're switching between backgrounds, so you're saying if it is dark mode, show the classes for dark mode. I don't know. I kind of believe that.
Yes, true.
I kind of believe that that's yeah. I kind of believe that that's what you're doing. You're switching even for the previous one. For your first the task that you did. Um, you were trying to change classes from dark to light mode and vice versa. So I feel like is the kind of approach that you follow. So if you want a dark mode, show the classes for a dark mode instead. If you want a because you even passing that method, I wonder what it will even be like. If you pass classes, that's more like a string. That's like
Yeah.
too much. This, yeah, I don't think that is the best approach to follow. I feel this way works better. So you're able to switch whatever. You're able to switch from dark mode. It's just a toggle, it's just on and off, on and off, on and off. That's what it is. I don't know if you get.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So somebody's already signaling me, so there's supposed to be a class. So Guchukui, yes. So if I do this, let me just wrap this up before let me so you're saying I do the set timeout and all of this inside here, and then I put inside here. But this will do a general delay. I kind of feel like what will happen here is we'll have like a general delay. So, so except you're displaying another component while that is happening, so you probably have to display another component while this is happening and replace
Yes,
this other one.
yes, I mean
You're
like the
using that
loading,
this
use the loading icon, like why did it set it? Or if it has a loading screen.
yes. Yes. So well, in essence, how you even do that is these people over curiosity won't finish you now. So let me just do a different approach now. So I'm going to say users, if users, and is it users? Is that what it was? Yeah, if users and supposed to do and like this, and users, Okay. All these people. Okay, the set timeout logic inside the get user. I did that earlier. David, I beg, come on. Come and guide me. Thank you. They are trying to look for a way to slow down this set is loading. Okay. Guys,
Good
yeah,
morning, guys.
yeah,
Good morning, bro.
yeah, good morning.
Yeah, so
So
I was
what
thinking maybe you should just I was thinking maybe you should use like an async function to do that. Like use the set timeout inside the code. You run the whole response inside the set timeout function. It's going to be like a callback, yeah, something like that.
you done I think I was like,
Yeah,
well, initially what me I was thinking was like an async inside another async, but probably maybe that's just the route to go.
yeah.
What am I missing here? So I'm supposed to close this, right? Okay. LD break. Okay, so this user stuff I was trying to do here. Now there are many ways that this. Let me see. Okay, he actually stalled it. He did it. Oh, I didn't put a delay, right? Or did I? Didn't put a delay. So let's say I'm supposed to call it like after 2000. So in essence, okay. So that works. Because I was scared, I was async and another async. So let's say 3000. So is there any need for this other guy? Okay. So in any case, maybe we can do it that way. That works. So this slows down a bit and then this also. Yeah. So I think that works. That works. Just I was thinking, we have an async here and then another async inside here. All right. All right. So we learn every day. Does anyone have any other question? Okay. So in the absence of any question, so from yeah, I think I wanted to address the whole this thing. So some of us, I don't know if this is the actual place, but let me just talk about it anyway. Let me just go to the Figma file. So the problem I'm having with most of us is you're looking at a Figma file and you're not replicating what is on that file. And it's a problem because we are going to have that problem. So let me just, now you're given something of this sort. You're given something of this sort. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to like simulate whatever is happening here. You're supposed to simulate it. There is space here, there is space here. You give it space. Not like a whole lot anyway, because this is like a very wide screen. You're not like supposed to reduce it. Then again, take note of the buttons. These things are buttons. Some of us just did square edges. You're seeing that this is curved here, but I don't know. Then, as much as possible, you guys are not beginners anymore now. Things are supposed to like a button when you're supposed to put like a hover effect or all those type of this thing. Like make it more appealing. Let it not just be static. For some of you, as this thing is wide, this button that you're seeing that has flesh like this, some of you will just make it to look like a orange this thing. So it will be as thin as orange cigarette. Try as much as possible to that was on the lighter note anyway. Try as much as possible to like follow whatever this design is. There's a reason why, well, to an extent, there are size. Well, don't use the explicit size here. Don't use the explicit sizes. So just try and simulate what is on the design. It's very, very important. Yeah, and designers, people will never get fights before because when you implement what they did not give you, people will start fighting now. And I will not separate any fights. It happened in the last code camp. Very funny this thing. But they actually tried. Those guys were good. So please, you guys should try. You guys should try as much as possible. Yeah, Ogochukwu, your team self was even minor. I had one that the product manager was even like didn't like having meetings with the front end guys because he felt that they were too chaotic and all of that. So we have we have those type of scenarios, and that's what you're going to be facing with. So as much as possible, you need to up your game. Seriously, that project. Hmm. So it was as bad as that. So please, I wouldn't like somebody is seeing that this is gray, a gray color. The person is using blue. Like I saw terrible things. So I don't know if I've not if I've not if if I've not graded your work up till now, I beg. If I've not graded your work up till now, I would really like to give comments. I would really like to give comments while I'm grading, sir. Because yeah. David, you know that this is design queen what's her name? Right. On Twitter. I've forgotten. But you've not seen people have not met designers that will be after your life. So Guchu, what do you want to say before I just round up because someone has to another class is about to start.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask, in regards to this design you showed us, I
Mm-hmm.
thought there, well, I don't know what it's called again. I used to, like a place where you can see
Uh-huh.
the design
Just
in the laptop. I've forgotten how what they used to call it.
what
I
the
don't know if
okay,
you like see how it is supposed to look like when the design team creates it, how it's supposed to look like on your phone, on your laptop, and all those. I don't know how what
okay.
they how
Is
like
it
usually on the slide or something.
okay on the side here, the sizes and all of that? Is that what you mean? On this side.
Yes, I don't like there was what they normally call it, like the whole like to see the whole user experience when the person is doing
Okay,
the design.
prototyping.
Yes, prototype, yes, prototype, yes.
Yeah. So, well, it's just that we have designers and designers. People are still learning and all of that. So, most times, not all of them know what they are doing is expected. But the thing is, as much as possible, you on your own, you just need to know. I saw it in HNG. I had issues like I had to restyle and restyle and restyle because the designer was like, "This is not what I gave you. This is not what I gave you." and so on and so forth. And you know HNG now, if they are evicting one person, if they are evicting the designer, they are also evicting the developer for not implementing whatever it was. So all those tension and pressure. So it is what it is. You need to up your game while you're doing all of this on your own. David, do you want to say something before I round up?
Yeah, yeah. Just one little thing. With regards to that function we just modified, right? So I was thinking, I
Yeah.
don't know if it's something we're going to handle later. Are we going to handle the aspect of error handling maybe later?
Oh,
Yes, because I
okay.
feel like,
Oh,
yeah, that's actually something that they really need to get acquainted with, Sha. So I don't know if you make out time to
yeah.
do that with them.
Okay, okay. I
Or
think
you can
I
just
will
do
do
an
that.
introduction of the try catch block. So at least you can have
Okay,
that. Yeah. Thank you.
okay. I'll do that. Yeah.
Okay, boss.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Barry. Last one. Before I go.
Okay, yeah, this is about the tax. So I just, for me, I felt you were talking to me, so I don't want to talk back. Anyways, um, okay, I've actually made. I didn't even notice. For me, I'm going to just talk about what happened because I know I didn't first I used a div instead of a button, and then
Okay.
I didn't take cognizance of the length of the div. So
Yeah.
most of those things I didn't really look at them. So I just did what I had in my head. So it was later on when you were like, "Guy, what are you doing?" So I went back to Figma and then I made some changes, and then I changed mine to a button. But now the hover effect. Now I'm just this is because I've actually submitted again. You're now coming
Is
up with
that
hover effect and
I'm just saying because
okay. Okay.
I'm saying from experience anyway. In HNG, all this whole feedback thing that I'm doing and all of that, you won't see that. You'll submit your work like this. When they pick it to grade it and then they look at it, they'll just evict they'll just evict you and you'll be wondering, but I implemented something. So put your mind into what you're doing. That's just what I'm trying to say. Look at it. It's a button. It's not, these are not divs. These are stuff that you're supposed to like, they are supposed to be linked to somewhere. That was why Austin was asking me that time if he could get a link to like links for all these things so that when you click on it, you're able to go to that page. It's a link tree. So you're supposed to like have those things. Yeah. So so that is that. I hope you're clear on it. Then
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
clear.
know. Yeah. Then you guys are seeing how me I'm resizing this thing here. There is when you talk about resizing, you're like, this is what you're playing around with. You're looking at it from these different screen sizes. So I don't know why this is adjusting anyway. So you try as much as possible, use these things effectively and check how it's working. For me, if I want to do for mobile screens, I have to take cognizance of 425 and lower for the mobile responsiveness. For tablets, yeah, you can go 768. But most often than not, I like adding at least one more pixel. So 769 so that like it covers this screen size. And then 425 so that it covers like I use 426 so that it covers this other screen size completely instead of like doing an exception to lower and uh, high and all of that. So just let's just have this at the back of our mind while we're doing this. I need to stop here at this point in time. If you have questions, you can ask me on the Discord channel. Yeah, what am I owing? I will attend to them on that channel. Um, so I think this is where we'll stop. Thank you guys for sticking around. Thank you for yeah, the active participation for people that used to talk in class. So yeah, thank you for always giving your input and helping each other on the channel too. It's all good. So it's a wrap from here. See you guys later. Have a nice day.